Yeah, so I have had no indication. I've had a very busy week of human life distractions, so it's just kind of nice to regroup here, and we'll see what comes through. Oh, we're with you again, dear ones. Indeed, we say welcome, welcome, welcome. Your lives are busy, your passions are driving you, your joy is enlivening you. And this is the most important thing in your spiritual practice. There is meditation, there is prayer, there are many, many things, lighting candles, polishing your crystal collection. These are things that humans practice as part of their spiritual focusing. But what we want you to know is that your guidance system is the answer. Your guidance system is where we want you to go unrelentingly. We want you to be able to, minute by minute, discern when you have stepped off the path. When you are on the path, you feel joy, you feel peace, you feel relaxed. When you step off the path, you will feel judgment. You will feel fear, you will feel anxiety, you will feel lost. These are the signs. So we want you to understand that you have been given everything you need to practice the path to awakening. There are no secrets here. There is no God that is hiding the truth from you until you are ready for it. You are being given every single indicator that you are able to handle at the moment in the order in which you need to handle them. This is where many of the teachings that come down through different religious structures, different spiritual practices, become confused. So we are going to speak about this idea of desires, because there is much confusion. There are many spiritual practices that condemn your desires because of the suffering they cause. There are many practitioners who close down aspects of their personality because of erroneous teachings that have been shared and inflicted upon society. And so this is our subject today, the idea of desires, the idea of the path, the idea of the feedback system, the idea of your emotional guidance. These are all deeply connected, and they are all important for you to grasp and understand, because it is in the misunderstanding of your internal guidance, it is in the misunderstanding of the thoughts you hold in your mind that action, wrong action arises. So we are going to pass our dear one over to Jesus. He is here, of course. He is not on holiday. He is passionate about the teachings that he is bringing through. He is excited, as he always is, about the teachings that he is bringing through. This has never changed. This is his nature. And so we want to remind you of the timeless place that he resides in, the timeless place that most of you reside in. You are small outposts of consciousness, receiving information from your experience and receiving guidance from above. Not literally above, but of a higher vibration. So we will pass our dear one over, and we will speak to you again later. I am returned to continue on the teaching. Your feeling body is your answer. This is difficult for Westerners to understand, because you have been counseled out of feeling. That is the prescription of your society, and it is the foundation on which many of your values are placed, that emotions and feelings cannot be listened to, that they are dangerous, that they are the devil's playground. That is the foundational belief that has been promoted through the history of your church, that to feel is dangerous, to respond to your desires is unholy in some way, that you will be led astray, that you must control yourself, that you must behave yourself, that you must do as you are told as sinners, that there are beings who know more than you, that you are unholy in some way. These are the teachings of your society. These are the things that your societal structures have been based on. And so this teaching, this idea of honoring the self as it experiences its own consciousness, is the most revolutionary idea that is being brought forth in this material. Because as you look around in your society, you see and experience even yourself this idea of not being able to do what you want. Having a desire, feeling a need to express or expand or create or play, and yet being stopped by something else, being cordoned off by an idea in the mind that is competing with that desire. And so this is where we are going to explore today. We are going to explore the emotional guidance system. We are going to go deep inside so that you can understand what is happening, because you are looking back on a system that is so profoundly complex, so old, and so distorted, and yet it is normal for you. It is not natural, it is normal, however, and so you are immersed in it. You experience it every day from every being that you meet, and so it is confusing to begin to have new information about this system. You will feel disoriented, you will feel confused, because the idea of a society being built on this new idea is so revolutionary that you cannot envision it. The physical mind structure, the ego mind, that is designed to organize your present state, that is designed to interpret incoming information from this present state, becomes very, very confused when you begin to think about what society would look like if everybody was open and honest and did what they loved and spoke the truth. You know that your society is based on lies and control and self-regulation. And so the idea of that being taken away causes great fear. And most human beings are, in fact, trying to make sense of a senseless situation. They are trying to make sanity out of insanity, and it is impossible. And so the mind becomes agitated, the mind becomes anxious because it cannot understand. And so we are going to go into your emotional guidance system, the feeling self, as a means of setting foundational bricks in the new paradigm. You must understand what is going on within your mind, within your feeling emotional body. You must understand what has been done to you in your conditioning process. Otherwise, you will spin your wheels, so to speak. You will try and make changes that you cannot make because you have foundational beliefs that are out of accord with truth. And so when you try to make changes, you will feel fear because these beliefs will come to the surface and you will be fully immersed in the fractured mind, the split mind. So when a babe is conceived, you imagine in your society that there is a coming together of physical elements that causes this being to be born. The egg and the sperm, you believe that when those two things unite, then a baby is created. This is not so. Your consciousness decides to be born. It will pick its parents. It will pick the ideal genetic material that it wants for its experience, and it will, out of time, begin to assert itself. It will begin to assert its desire for physical experience. And those beings who are already in physical experience, those beings who are going to be the parents, you have all been involved in relationships, you know what is going on in that scenario. That consciousness that wants to express itself in physical form, that wants to come into the body, will in fact begin to pressure those two already physical beings, those two aspects of consciousness that are already manifested in physical form. It will begin to pressure those beings. And so the physical structure of the body that will contain the consciousness of this consciousness that wants to be born, is brought into manifestation by that desire. It is not random. It is pre-selected. It is designed to work perfectly for the experience that consciousness, with its higher mind, with its teachers and guides, has decided is appropriate. And so you will, in fact, see physicality arise from mind, from consciousness. And this is where we want you to begin to shift your consciousness. Instead of seeing a baby being born, we want you to see a consciousness inhabiting a body that it has created for itself. So, for example, in stillbirth, the consciousness that created that physical body has changed its mind. Consciousness will come in and out of the physical structure that is contained within the mother's body many, many times during that gestation period. It can come in very, very early, almost at conception. It does not reside in there permanently. It will come in and out, just as you come in and out of your physical structure every day and night. Your consciousness, your higher consciousness, leaves your physical structure in the night to dream and to experience and to be taught and learn. The same thing happens in the gestation period. The consciousness of that being will spend most of that time not in the physical. It will come in and out. It will experience that physical structure because it knows that that is what it's going to have to do. But at times, it will change its mind. It will say, no, I no longer wish to inhabit this structure. Another consciousness, another aspect of consciousness may be given the opportunity to take over that opportunity. But at times, no, there is no decision made in favor of life, and that life does not come into being. This is a very important thing for people to know who have lost children, who have had miscarriages. These are not punishments from God. From our point of view, we see the pain that these losses of life, we use the word losses in quotation marks because they are not losses of life. Consciousness does not require a body to experience itself. It chooses that form at times to experience itself, but that consciousness is not lost. That consciousness may even decide to manifest another body in the same mother. It may decide to manifest a body in a different mother if it felt that the environment was not perfect for the experience it wanted to have. And so when we see grieving parents feeling that they have done something wrong or wishing that it was otherwise, they do not understand that this consciousness is the creator of life. Life is not the creator of consciousness. When you believe that the physical is the creator of consciousness, then you see death as a disaster. You see death as the final end, and it is not. It is merely a release from the physical of consciousness. Consciousness is always, it is eternal, it is never ending, it is life producing, it is experience producing. The physical body does nothing in and of itself. It does not even support life. The physical body is animated by consciousness. It is not the other way around. And so as you begin to understand these 180-degree turns in your understanding, death, birth, they become different experiences. And these are the basic experiences of life that you must understand to be fearless, that you must understand to be willing to listen to your feelings. For you have been raised in a society that say if you listen to your feelings, then you are going to be led down the garden path. You are going to be led into a place that you are not safe. But this is because this has been taught through these hierarchical structures that understood the power of emotion, that understood the power of passion, that understood the creative force behind desire. These were the teachings that I was teaching, and these early church leaders had my full teachings. They understood where the power was contained, and it was in their best interest to hide that from those beings who were studying those early teachings. Conspiracy theory? Not necessarily. It is just fact. Those beings did not want the teachings that I was sharing and disseminating with such passion, with such devotion. They did not want those teachings to be understood and employed in people's lives because it would not have served their own ends. Look at your political system now and you see it too. You see beings who are mitigating their political influence so at a future date they may have more power in private business. You see people passing legislation that is going to serve them in their personal aggrandizement later on. It is no different now than it was then. So do not lay upon the early church higher principles than you see at play in your own political system now. It was exactly the same. It was the ego mind at play, maneuvering chess pieces around a board that is about power. And that is what you are experiencing now. It has become clouded because of the influence and the techniques and the strategies that the church used over time to deceive the beings that were coming to it for salvation. The teachings that you have founded your society on are not true. And so in this situation where you have a consciousness that has decided to manifest a physical structure to experience separation, remember, in this action you are stepping away from unity consciousness down into a separated physical structure. There is an understanding as you are doing that, not the small you, there is an understanding in the collective consciousness that is participating in this process, that to isolate oneself from oneness is indeed a difficult journey. This detour into separation, this detour into fear, this detour into what love is not, is a big project. And you are not sent into this operation alone. You are given a guidance system, you are given a map, and it is your feeling self. It is agreed upon that no matter where you venture into this separation experience, it is agreed upon that no matter how lost you become in that idea of separation, that you will be guided, that you will be given messages from non-physical, and you understand this when you come into this physical body-mind structure. That map is your emotional guidance system. It is a constant, never-ending stream of feedback from higher mind. It is a constant, never-ending stream of love from all that is, letting you know where your home is, letting you know where you have come from. And so when you are born into separation, when you manifest into this physical body-mind experience, there you have your answer, there you have your map home. But if you are experiencing a childhood in a society that has lost its way, if you are experiencing your own consciousness in a family that is distorted, fractured, believing in the dream, then you will immediately begin to have that system overridden. You will immediately find conflict. Remember, you are manifesting yourself into a place that is the opposite of all-encompassing love. There is no opposite. However, your experience is an apparent experience. And yet this guidance system comes with you. This guidance system is your salvation. And so you see the profound conflict that you are immersed in this society. You have this powerful, never-ending source of love and information and guidance expressing itself in your feeling self, and you have a system, a conditioning system, a financial system, an economic system, religious systems, food production systems, all kinds of systems that are going against that. Why the conflict? Well, you have chosen to step away from love. You have chosen to experience what it is not. And that is why it is so important for you to understand that this guidance system is your answer. The more joy you feel, the more happiness you feel, the more enlivenment you feel, the more passion you feel, the more inspiration you feel, the closer you are to that path that you are being guided along. It is not random. It is not for fun. You have been given this guidance system so that you know which way to turn. And yet your conditioned society is telling you the exact opposite. They are telling you to sit still when you want to run. They are telling you to wear clothes when you want to be naked. They are telling you to keep yourself safe when you would rather fall in love with somebody. They are telling you many, many things that are directly counter to that which we are teaching you. And so this is where agitation arises in the mind if you do not understand what is happening. Of course, this is why we are here. This is why we are writing this material through this particular channel, because she has had this experience of being confused by the emotional feedback system. She's very willing to bring this material forward because she has seen the damage and danger that comes from not understanding what is going on in your feeling self. But you must understand where it comes from. You must understand what it is, or you will not give it the respect it deserves. You will not give it its due. You will listen to your conditioning first. You will always listen to your conditioning first, no matter what you understand, because the conditioned mind is the most recent training. It is the training that is loaded with emotion. It is the training that is being supported by all of the conventional structures that you are looking at in your everyday experience. Your televisions, your societies, your coffee shops, your clothing, these are all societal norms that seem as if they are real to you. They seem as if they are solid, as if they mean something. They are not. They are merely the structures of the society in which you find yourself. How do you know? Just go to another society. You will see different clothes, you will see different value systems, you will see different opinions. And so you know that this society in which you find yourself is an arbitrary group of decisions that has been in play for a long time. That is why it looks normal. It is not normal. It is one way to be. That is all it is. It is not the right way to be or the wrong way to be. It is one experience that you can have. But if you are not having a good time, if you are not understanding the structure of the mind, if you are believing the conditioned thoughts that these hierarchical structures, schools, families, religions, television, if you are believing in those structures, then you will have profound conflict in the mind, because the guidance system from spirit is telling you to be free. It is telling you to be self-expressive. It is telling you to love everybody. It is telling you all sorts of things that your society counsels against. And so this is why many of you are in anxiety. This is why many of you do not know what to do. This is why many of you feel fear. Fear is the battle between belief systems. When you have two powerful beliefs about a subject that are counter to each other, there is no peace in the mind, and the mind, because it must have some integrity, will become very agitated in an effort to dismiss one of these beliefs. If you do not know that this is what is happening, you will choose to medicate the stress that is arising in the mind, the fight that is going on between these two belief systems. And that is what many Westerners are doing. They are medicating themselves with many, many different things in an effort to arrive at some tenuous peace, because they do not understand the structure of the mind. They do not understand what has been done to them. They do not understand what the guidance system is and how it works. And so these two powerful sources of guidance and information are battling in the mind, and it causes fear, anxiety. It can cause depression, disillusionment. It can cause many, many things. And so this is why we go to these basic structures, so that you can understand what is happening, so that you can begin to realign yourself with truth, so that you can begin to realign yourself with power. You can see that in my lifetime, these teachings were not able to be shared openly. This is a different time. You are freer in some ways, you are less free in some ways. But there is an ability in this society now to disseminate this information. This video, for example, may be seen by many, many thousands of people. That was not happening in my day. I had to do this in person. And therefore, I was subject to the rules of that society. This material that I was being given from non-physical, just as this being is given material from non-physical, she does not like it when I make that comparison because she fears that she is comparing herself to me. That is not what is happening here. But that is a fear that has arisen from the conditioned mind. That you can say anything, but do not compare yourself to that one called Jesus. This is a fear. This is not a truth. How do you know? It feels bad. When you open to your experience, when you open to understanding, you are all the same as me. That is my lesson. You are all the sons of God. You are all the daughters of God. You are all as powerful as I am because all I did was understand the system. It is a science. It is not a dispensation from God. And yet in my lifetime, because the information that I was bringing through was so revolutionary, I had to hide it. I had to be very selective. When I began to teach this material, it became very, very clear, very, very early on that some people could not handle this information, that their minds were so worldly, that their understanding of the mind was so small, that these concepts were too big for them. And so that is why the parables were developed, to bring big ideas into simple language, to bring big ideas into simple stories. But I did teach this material in private to those beings who showed interest, who had some comprehension of what I was speaking about, and were not so terrified by the fear and repression in that society that they were willing to step out of the bounds of that limited idea that was represented in that society at that time. Just as you are stepping out of the bounds that have been inflicted upon your society, you are stepping out of those restrictions, and you will bump up against beliefs. And once you know what is happening, if you feel fear, if you feel anxiety, if you feel reluctance to share your experience, do not force yourself. Do not force the mind. Do not force yourself to do something that you do not want to do. But understand, if you have a desire and it is met by a feeling of resistance, it is met by a feeling of limitation, that there are beliefs at war in the mind, and that is what you are feeling. That is the conflict that is coming up. You must investigate those two ideas that you have just entertained. Sharing a passionate belief in spiritual teaching and fear that you will be judged. These are a perfect example of the kind of thing that you will encounter. When you see that these are the two beliefs that you are battling against, take some time to come to an understanding of what is going on in the mind. Understand that the fear is conditioned. How do you know it is conditioned? Because it does not feel good. Passion to share an enlivening experience, passion to share information that you know will help people. This is a message from Spirit. This is your guidance system telling you something is important, telling you that yes, step along this path. But you, just as in those days when I was on the ground in the physical form, you must also look at the society in which you find yourself. You must understand the physical limitations that are presently at play. You are bringing in information, sharing information that is designed to liberate. But if you are in a prison, if you are in a state of being that is closed and fearful, those higher-minded ideas cannot come through because of the large vibrational difference between them. So you must pick your words, you must pick your contacts carefully, not fearfully, but with an understanding that you cannot share certain material with certain minds. They are not capable of understanding it. It will just cause fear in them, and they will attack. Why will they attack? Because the ego mind is in charge, and the ego mind will attack that which it fears. It will attack it physically, it will attack it verbally, it will attack it in any way it can in an effort to keep your physical body safe, because that is its job. Once again, you must understand what the ego mind is. It is not your enemy. It is the consciousness that you are living in the separation experience. And once you understand that, you can use it for what it is good for. It is good for presence. It is good for interpreting your immediate environment. It is good for keeping your physical structure sound and happy. But it is not good for planning or seeing into the future. It is not good to use the ego mind for decisions of experience that are of a higher nature. It will tell you to separate. It will encourage separation because that is its nature. That is the experience that you are immersed in here. The messages you are getting from your guidance system are of unity consciousness, are of love. And they are going to go against that which the ego mind feels is safe. And that is the separation you feel. That is the devil and the angel on your shoulder. One is encouraging you to be expansive and creative and loving and kind. The other is encouraging you to be suspicious and judgmental and limited. If you understand where these sources of information are coming from, you can begin to discern clearly the thoughts and the feelings that are traveling through your body-mind. So we will take a little break here and we will allow you to digest some of that information. We will be back in a few minutes.